Hello fellow classmates and professor, my name is Kylie Bartel, and in the following video presentation, my group and I will be discussing the Luigi Mangione case. During this video presentation, we will talk about the facts of the case, basically telling what occurred and who was involved. We will then follow up with the background of the victim and describe their relationship to the offender. Afterwards, we will present and examine different victimology theories that tie into this specific case. Finally, we will provide suggestions on how we can protect victims and prevent something like this from happening in the future. Now, for the facts of the case. On the morning of December 4th, 2024, the executive of United Healthcare, Brian Thompson, was shot and killed in Midtown Manhattan, New York City, outside the entrance to the New York Hilton Midtown Hotel. 5 days after the incident occurred, police investigators tracked down and arrested Luigi Mangione for the murder. Upon his apprehension, Mangione was found in possession of a 3D printed firearm and suppressor, which were consistent with the murder weapon used in the attack. Additionally, the police found a letter on Mangione's person where he criticized the American healthcare system. The suspect had a false ID on his person as well. Currently, Mangione is on trial for this crime, facing multiple charges. If found guilty of the 11 state criminal counts in New York, which include first-degree murder and murder as a crime of terrorism, Mangione would face a mandatory life sentence in prison without the possibility of parole. Additionally, if he's convicted of the federal charges of using a firearm to commit murder and interstate stalking resulting in a death, he would become eligible for the death penalty. As the trial is still ongoing, we must remember that every person is innocent until proven guilty, and upon proving guilty, the courts have the right to decide a fair and just punishment for that individual. As I wrap up the facts of the case and information surrounding the offender, I now turn the time over to Haley, who will be presenting more information regarding the victim.
Okay, so Kylie talked about kind of the facts of the case. I'm going to talk about the two people involved in the case and who they were and almost their upbringing in a way. So Brian Thompson, who is the victim, was born in 1974. He was an American businessman and the CEO of United Healthcare, one of the largest health insurance providers in the United States today. He grew up in a middle-class family and earned a degree in business administration from the University of Iowa in 1997. He was known for his leadership and vision. Brian had played a significant role in shaping healthcare policies, specifically in Medicare and Medicaid. He was then shot in December of 2024 outside of a Manhattan hotel. The suspect of Brian's murder was Luigi Mangione. He's a 26-year-old Ivy League graduate. Mangione was arrested at a McDonald's in Pennsylvania after a tip led police to his location. During his arrest, Mangione was found with a 3D printed pistol and silencer in his backpack. He has been charged with murder and terrorism in both state and federal courts. Mangione's case has sparked controversy, with some viewing him as a symbol of frustration with the healthcare system. While he awaits trial, his defense team has argued for access to evidence and raised concerns about the circumstances of the overall case. Investigators revealed that Mangione had meticulously planned the crime, stalking Brian Thompson for days before the attack. Bullet casings found at the scene were inscribed with the words like delay, deny, and depose, which critics often associate with insurance industry practices. This detail suggests that Mangione's actions were fueled by anger towards the healthcare system, with Thompson symbolizing corporate power.
While studying the case of Luigi Mangione, two theories that stood out to me were routine activity theory and victim precipitation theory. Routine activity theory talks about how crime happens when three things come together: a motivated offender, a suitable target, and no one around to prevent the crime. If Luigi was in a place with little security or no witnesses, that could have made it easier for criminals to act. Sometimes just being in the wrong place at the wrong time is all it takes for someone to become a victim. Criminals often look for easy opportunities, and when there's no one to intervene, the risk of crime increases. This theory helps explain why certain crimes happen more frequently in specific locations or situations. The second theory is victim precipitation theory. It looks at whether a victim's actions are intentional or not, as well as how it might have contributed to the crime. That doesn't mean Luigi was at fault, but sometimes even small things like misunderstandings or disagreements can escalate. Even a simple interaction with the wrong person at the wrong time can turn dangerous. Luigi's story is an example of how certain factors can make someone vulnerable even if they didn't do anything wrong. Thinking about these theories helps me see how crime just doesn't happen randomly. There are patterns and factors that make certain people more vulnerable. Studying victimology isn't just about understanding past cases, it's also about learning how to prevent tragedies like Luigi's from happening again. The more we understand, the better we protect ourselves as well as others.
Some might question what leads an individual to take drastic actions against another individual. In the case of Luigi Mangione, it can be examined through the lens of both the strain theory and the rational choice theory to understand the motivations behind the alleged actions. Focusing on the strain theory, it suggests that societal structures may pressure individuals to commit crimes when they experience a disconnect between societal goals and the means available to achieve them. Mangione's situation reflects this disconnect, despite his privileged background and academic successes. He faced severe personal and financial hardships due to chronic pain and mounting medical expenses. His frustration with the medical system's perceived failures, including the rising costs and inadequate support, may have intensified his sense of strain. This aligns with the theory's assertion that when legitimate avenues to achieve societal goals are blocked, individuals might resort to illegitimate means. Focusing on the rational choice theory, this suggests that individuals might commit crimes after weighing the potential benefits and consequences, making a calculated decision that the perceived benefits outweigh the risks. Applying this to Mangione's case, it's plausible that he viewed his alleged actions as a form of vigilante activism aimed at addressing systematic injustices within the healthcare industry. By alleged targeting a prominent figure like Thompson, Mangione might have believed that this was drawing attention to the plight of countless individuals under a profit-driven healthcare system. This perspective implies that his actions were premeditated with an expectation that the societal impact would justify the personal risks involved.
And the Luigi Mangione case serves a stark reminder of the urgent needs for improved safety for the victims of violence, as well as more efficient ways to stop future occurrences of this kind. Support services include as shelter, legal aid, and must be easily accessible to the victims. An extra degree of security, furthermore informing people of their rights and choices in the face of danger, can enable them to get help before things get out of hand. More laws can be used as deterrent and tools for accountability. Toughen punishments for the violent criminals, especially those who commit the crime over and over again, can stop them from hurting others. Mandatory programs for the offenders can also adjust the underlying behaviors and problems of lower likelihood that they will re-offend again. Fostering of the justice system that generally protects the vulnerability requirements, making sure the victims' views are heard as their safety is given a priority during the legal proceedings. In the end, although strategies required to stop accidents like the one that happened with Luigi Mangione, the fact consists of mixed communities engagements, safety guards, and public awareness that informs people about warning indicators and resources. Society can set up a safety atmosphere where the victims were empowered and offenders can get help that they need to violence by promoting a culture of early support.
With all that's been said, what could be done to prevent similar instances of victimization from occurring in the future? Well, the most important thing to consider to understand this, or to answer this question, is the context that Luigi Mangione perpetrated from, or his motive. On the surface, he did not appear to be the type of person who would randomly shoot someone dead in New York City. He was a valedictorian at his high school. He earned his master's degree in computer science at the University of Pennsylvania, and he enjoyed hobbies like hiking, surfing, and playing volleyball. Seemingly, he is a well-rounded and intelligent individual with a moderate degree of personal success. Although something that allegedly did interfere with his life was back pain. According to the BBC, Mangione is on record as having described health insurance companies as parasitic. When he was arrested, bullets were found that had engravings on them of the word deny, defend, depose. These words echo Mangione's dissatisfaction towards strategies that health insurance companies intentionally use to deny benefits to members who need and pay for coverage. All the while, he claimed to be suffering from brain fog and back pain during that time. All this considered, what likely motivated Mangione was a desire to change the flawed systems that all Americans have been forced to accept. The murder of Brian Thompson symbolizes his dissatisfaction that is shared by many Americans. With this understanding, one obvious solution comes to mind. The United States of America must expand its socialized healthcare systems. Since these would be primarily funded through tax dollars, no individual would be, period, the victim of such crime because there is no such individual. Alternatively, insurance companies could be regulated so that their profits don't exceed a certain margin so that individuals are not victimized or villainized for their perceived greed.